Title: She Tried to Warm Her Daughter, but a Human's Heart Saved Them. A story of kindness beyond worlds. The wind screamed over the frozen plains of Valira 9, a planet where the sun burned cold and the nights could swallow warmth whole. In the hollow of a shattered spacecraft, a mother clutched her child close. Her silvery skin cracked with frost, her breath visible even in the dim biolight that pulsed weakly from the ruined console. "Hold on, Lyra," whispered Sarah, voice trembling as she brushed a shaking hand over her daughter's blue-tinged cheeks. "Just a little longer, my heart. The storm will pass." But even as she said it, Sarah knew it was a lie. The temperature had dropped below survivable levels. Their emergency pods had failed, and their distress beacon, frozen solid, was silent. Outside, snow fell like shards of glass. Lyra stirred weakly. "Mama, cold." Her voice was barely a whisper, her luminescent eyes dimming. Sarah pressed her forehead to her daughter's. The heat of life between them was fading fast. Alien though she was, she felt the same desperation any mother would. The kind that claws through reason, that tears at logic, that screams into the void for mercy. She tore open the last energy cell and tried to coax it to life. It sparked once, a brief flare of blue light, then sputtered out. And then, through the howling wind, she heard it. Voice. "Hello." It was rough, human, carried by the storm but unmistakably alive. Sarah's heart stuttered. Human. Here. On this dead world. She stumbled toward the sound, shielding her child under the torn fabric of her survival wrap. Her body ached with each step, the cold biting deep into her joints. The blizzard parted briefly, revealing a dark silhouette trudging toward her. A tall figure wrapped in insulated armor, a visor glowing faint orange. "Holy!" the voice gasped as the figure caught sight of her. You're not from my crew." Sarah barely managed to speak. "My child, she's dying." The man hesitated, looking between her and the small bundle in her arms. His training screamed danger. Unknown life forms meant quarantine, protocol, distance. But something else, older, deeper, rose up inside him. He moved forward. "Come on. My shelter's close." The human's name was Eli Carter, a crash survivor from a mining freighter that had gone down days earlier. He'd been surviving on ration heat packs and the last of his ship's power core, waiting for rescue that never came. When he carried Sarah and Lyra into the half-collapsed outpost he'd been using for shelter, warmth flooded the room from a salvaged plasma generator. Sarah laid Lyra down near the heat source, her hands trembling as the frost began to melt from her daughter's silver lashes. Eli knelt beside them. "She's hypothermic, or whatever your species calls it. Here." He handed Sarah a thermal blanket. "Wrap her tight." Sarah obeyed, her eyes wary yet grateful. "Why help us?" she asked softly. "Your kind rarely helps ours." Eli shrugged. "Because she's a kid. And you're her mom." He looked at the child, her chest barely rising. "Doesn't matter what planet you're from, that's worth saving." For a long while, only the hum of the generator filled the silence. Sarah watched Eli as he worked, rewiring coils, adjusting heat levels, scavenging what little food he had left to warm into a thin broth. When he finally rested, she spoke again. "You could have left us." "Many would have." He leaned back, exhausted. "Maybe. But I've seen too many good people freeze because someone decided not to care." Hours passed. Lyra's breathing grew steadier. Sarah dozed beside her, clutching the human's blanket around them both. Eli sat across the room, staring at the storm through a cracked viewport. He had fought pirates, radiation storms, even starvation, but never something like this. The alien mother's quiet strength unsettled him. She had crossed galaxies, and now, here they were. Two beings from different worlds, huddled together in the same hopeless cold. When dawn came, a dim, pale glow creeping across the ice, Sarah stirred. Lyra's small hand twitched against hers. "She's waking," Sarah whispered. Eli smiled, relief washing over him. "Tough little thing, isn't she?" The child blinked up at him. "Are you a human?" He nodded. "That's right." Lyra's lips curved faintly. "Mama said humans are dangerous." Eli chuckled. "She's not wrong." Sarah smiled weakly, warmth returning to her voice. But perhaps also kind. The silence between them softened. Days turned to weeks as the storm refused to end. Together they built a fragile rhythm. Sarah taught Eli how to filter air using alien crystals salvaged from her ship. He showed her how to patch heat conduits with human polymer tape. Lyra, recovering quickly, filled the cold outpost with laughter. One night, while they shared the last of Eli's rations, he said quietly, "You know, rescue might never come. My beacon's fried too." Sarah looked toward the endless white beyond the viewport. "Then we stay together." He met her gaze, surprised. "Together?" "Yes," she said softly. "You saved us when no one else would. My people call that heart fire. It's rare." Eli smiled faintly. "Humans just call it doing what's right." When rescue finally came, a Valyran search team guided by a reactivated beacon, it was almost bittersweet. Sarah stood in the snow, her daughter clinging to her leg, as the alien ship descended in a shimmer of blue light. Eli stood beside them, face hidden behind his cracked visor. "Come with us," Sarah said suddenly. "You'll die here if you stay." He shook his head. "Your people wouldn't welcome me." "Then I will," she said. "You're the reason my daughter breathes." Eli hesitated, then nodded once. As the ship's doors opened, the wind howled one last time across the frozen plain. A human and two aliens stepped aboard together. 3 lives bound not by species or blood, but by something stronger. Eunice. In the end, it wasn't fire or fuel that saved them. It was a human heart. As the alien rescue ship's ramp extended into the snow, its engines humming with warmth and light, Eli stood frozen at the edge of the blizzard. The idea of leaving the planet felt strange. He had been surviving for so long that survival itself had become his only purpose. Sarah turned toward him, her daughter Lyra clutching her hand. The child's luminous eyes were bright again, filled with life and a quiet affection for the man who had saved her. "Eli," Sarah said gently, stepping close. "Come with us. You've given us more than warmth. You've given us hope. Let us return that gift." He shook his head at first, glancing at the gray horizon. "Your people, they won't accept a human. Not after what's happened between our worlds." Sarah placed her hand over his chest, feeling the steady beat beneath his armor. "They will when they see this," she whispered. "Your heart fire burns brighter than any flame. It's what saved us." Eli's throat tightened. Slowly he looked at Lyra, who smiled shyly and reached out her small silver hand. "Please," she said, "don't stay in the cold." Something in him broke open, something soft, human, and unbearably real. With a deep breath he took her hand. "All right," he said quietly. "Let's go home." The ramp lifted, sealing them inside the ship's warmth. As the engines roared to life, Sarah and Eli stood side by side, watching the frozen wasteland fade into clouds of silver mist. Different worlds, different species. But for the first time it didn't matter. Because kindness had crossed the stars. And a human's heart had saved more than just 2 lives. It had built a bridge between them.